out America First Action Super PAC Communications Director Kelly Sadler. So clearly Kamala Harris, the senator's attack on Joe Biden for a number of race issues, including busing in the 1970s, worked for her. But can her momentum continue, Kelly?
You know, she had a really good debate night, and Joe Biden came off flat-footed, unprepared. She had been rehearsing that answer, had a well-prepared attack line, and went after him and executed well. He, on the other hand, he decided to cut his own time short to try to get out of the conversation. The fact of the matter is now we're having conversations about the merits of busing, and I can't believe how far left the Democratic Party has gone. Whoever thought that this was going to be a 2020 campaign issue, we certainly didn't. And they're just out of touch, out of step where the Americans are. If you look at that CNN poll, only 21% of the people polled support ending private insurance. 59% oppose giving illegal immigrants health care benefits, free health care. So this just shows you how far they've tracked left and how far they're away from where the consensus is as American people.
But, Tom, I'll point this out, that this is about, and a lot of the lead that Joe Biden had was because he was viewed as the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. And there was someone online, a writer, who referred to Kamala Harris's attack on Biden as very Trumpian. It was very well planned and very well executed, and she went for the jugular. They called it Trumpian, and it occurred to me, I was like, well, maybe she is the best person to take on Joe Biden. But what say you to the CNN poll?
Yeah, I mean, the CNN poll shows that voters still think that Joe Biden has the best chance to beat Trump in a general election. That's basically the only thing that he's got going for him is this electability argument. But look, I think folks who watch this and understand this, Joe Biden was sort of he was a placeholder for Democrats. They had warm and fuzzy feelings about him from his time as vice president with Barack Obama, and he has universal name ID among Democrats. Democrats are now getting to see and learn about some of these other candidates and options. And Kamala Harris obviously made the biggest splash by her fully frontal attack on Joe Biden. I said, you know, this is her style. She's aggressive. She will stab you in the chest. She will not wait until you turn around to stab you in the back. We'll see how that style plays out over the course of an 18-month campaign, but certainly she helped herself dramatically more than any other candidate by the debates in Miami.
But her record as a prosecutor in California, where she actually filed charges against parents for truancy, like, she's yet to be really challenged on that. And so all the other candidates who will eventually be on stage with her are putting together their Oppo research packets as we speak.
That's exactly right. I mean, with increased visibility comes increased scrutiny, and she does have a record and some issues that are going to have to be litigated by her and by her opponents, and we'll see that probably in the next debate that's going to happen in just a month.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, she locked up black men for nonviolent crimes, just like so many prosecutors do all over the country. And so, you know, my question is, where is Barack Obama going to fit into all this conversation? When will he come up and start to campaign, and who will he support, and why? When you really look at these core issues that we're talking about, you know, Barack Obama chose Joe Biden as his vice president, and we all know his racial past, the Clintons' racial past. You know, all of these people have horrible, horrible records when it comes to criminal justice reform and how they approached, you know, African Americans in this country. But then you have Donald Trump, who passed the First Step Act, the Second Chance Act, gets no credit for it. At what point does that come to a head?
Well, my understanding is that President Obama will not come out and support anyone unless it comes to basically an undecided convention. We get to the convention and the nominee is not yet decided, and maybe Bernie Sanders is there, then he would step up for Joe Biden, but he's staying out of it.
He is going to stay out of it. That's what past presidents have usually done. They wait till the nominee is picked. I have a question for Kelly, though, back to play off of what Jack just said. You know, Trump has hit Joe Biden on the issue of criminal justice reform. I also mentioned earlier there's a story in the New York Times about increased minority women business ownership. How are you seeing Donald Trump resonating or not with African-American voters and Hispanic voters? Obviously, that's a big constituency of the Democratic Party.
Yes, and you know, we're going after the economic record and the huge economic gains for both of those constituencies under the president's, you know, policies. However, the First Step Act was a huge accomplishment for the president. It was a bipartisan bill that was decades in the making that he pushed over the line and got passed and signed. And now he's working on the Second Step Act, which is basically helping those that are in prison today get Pell Grants, be able to improve their educational opportunities so that when they go back into the communities that they are, you know, that they can basically reacclimate. And this is a huge deal. And, you know, you brought up Kamala's record as a prosecutor. Yeah, she's tough. She goes after you. She also, you know, put a lot of, you know, marijuana charges, those of smoking marijuana, in jail. So she's going to have to account for that record in that past. And I don't know how well that's going to sit with what the president has already done for this community.
Well, let's turn to the Trump economy, because we were talking about that. Democratic candidates are running against a president touting record high markets, unemployment at a 50-year low. But a new AP NORC poll shows that less than half approve of the president's handling of the economy. In that same poll, only 26% of Americans say tariffs will help the economy. That is down from 40% nearly a year ago. What does this mean for 2020 right now? Because, again, there is some evidence the economy is softening. And what does it mean about the messaging from the president on his accomplishments, economic?
I think this is a style over substance issue, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, this month is the 90th consecutive month where we have blue-collar wages rising faster than their supervisors. Yesterday marked the longest, you know, period of economic expansion in our country's history. So, you know, we are going to be hitting the campaign trail, you know, basically touting this economic record. If you watch the Democratic debates, I don't know what country they live in. I don't know what world they live in to say that this economy is not the best that it's ever been in the history of our country.
But so this is Lindsay Kelly. My question is the economy is doing well, but it seems to be that voters have this fear of the future, and that might be why they're starting to lose a little bit of confidence, and a lot of that probably has to do with tariffs, and then also all the headlines that they're seeing from the Democratic debates and issues on immigration and things that might not be directly impacting them. How is the Trump administration going to address those other issues to make the voters feel better?
Well, I think in regards to tariffs, the president is in negotiations with China right now and with President Xi. And we saw the markets react to that yesterday we had the best stock market on record in the month of June. So the president is taking on these geopolitical issues. The farmers are supporting him and they're behind him. And I think all of the mainstream media, the negative headlines are not helping us. 93% of the news out there is not favorative for the president. But people who actually follow his policies are in support of him. And, you know, we're going to deal with the Democrats when we get a contender one-on-one. But right now, the president is doing everything that he can to make America great again. And in addressing illegal immigration, we saw Mexico today. The headlines are they're detaining more people within their country and they're deporting more people than they ever have. So his policies are working if you get past kind of the negative headlines.
But then we found out that drug makers initiated a new round of price increases, with some of them affecting generic hospital-administered injectables that are in short supply. So maybe the president will tweet about that this morning. Kelly, thank you for being here. Kelly Sadler.